Hey guys, so today we're talking about a new verb tense, the present progressive tense. Need to review a couple things. So in the past we learned about the verb estar. Estar means to be, of course, same as the verb ser. And we know that estar is conjugated like this with accents on these three boxes here. We have learned two verb tenses so far this year. One of them is present tense, right? Where things are just happening in the present. So these verbs here, I walk, you walk, he or she walks, we walk, they walk. And then we learned what I call fake future tense, right? I'm going to walk, you are going to walk, he or she is going to walk, etc. So this is our third verb tense that we're going to learn this year. It is called the present progressive. And the present progressive is used to show that an action is happening right at this very second. The English equivalent of this is verbs that end in ing, as in these three examples here. You are running, they are eating, we are thinking. That is what we're going to be doing in Spanish. So instead of adding ing in Spanish, they do it a little bit differently. We're going to have two different verb endings here. So for AR verbs, the new ending of the verb is going to be ando. And just like we used to conjugate, you're gonna, if you have an AR verb, you're gonna drop the AR part and just add ando to the end of it. Okay, so hablar, drop the AR, you've got HABL, then you add ando, hablando. Contar is contando. Cerrar, cerrando. Okay, so that's for AR verbs. Then for ER and IR verbs, the ending that you're going to add is iendo. So again, you're going to drop either the ER or the IR from the verb and put iendo in instead. Asistir, asistiendo. Dropping this IR, you've got ASIST, and then your new ending, iendo. Salir becomes saliendo. Perder, perdiendo. Okay, now that's the only ending we have for this new verb tense. So obvious question is, if they all have the same ending, how do we know who the subject is, right? Normally we know that if it ends with an O, the subject is I, and if it ends with an AS or an ES, the subject is you. So how do we know this in present progressive? The answer is present progressive tense always includes the verb estar, and estar still gets conjugated like normal. So we're going to be looking at the verb estar to tell us who the subject is. For example, if we want to say, I am remembering, you can't just say recordando for remembering. You have to say estoy recordando. Estoy, I am, recordando, remembering. You are remembering would be estás recordando. He or she está recordando, and so on. So we are looking to the verb estar to tell us who the subject in the sentence is. Keep in mind that the verb recordando doesn't change at all, right? It's the same thing every time. Recordando, 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 etc. Only the verb estar changes for the subjects. Okay, so if we were in class, we would do a few examples here. I would have had you guys describe these pictures. So we've got this kid. Maybe we could say he is drawing, and that would be está dibujando. All right, this guy here is dancing. He is dancing. We could say está bailando. This poor child is crashing. To crash is chocar. So maybe I would say está chocando. He is crashing. And we have more, but you get the idea. Okay. So that's the basic idea. Now we have one other confusing piece here, and that is stem changers. Remember we learned stem changers in chapter 4. AR and ER verbs don't stem change in the present progressive tense. Even if they normally are stem changing verbs, you just ignore that stem change in present progressive. They don't do it. However, IR verbs that are normally stem changers do stem change in the present progressive. So repetir, conseguir, seguir, decir, etc. These are still going to undergo a stem change. And to make matters even more complicated, it's not necessarily the exact same stem change that they normally undergo. Okay, so here's how these IR verbs would stem change. If it's normally an E to I stem changer, it's still E to I. No difference there. So repetir in present progressive becomes repitiendo with this E changing to an I right here. Verbs that are normally E to IE stem changers are only E to I now. So preferir is normally an E to IE, but look what happens in present progressive tense. Prefiriendo, this I right here came from this E. And finally, verbs that are normally O to UE stem changers only change from O to U. So dormir, normally O to UE, is, look, just O to U here, durmiendo. The only exception to all of these rules is the verb poder. Now, poder is an ER verb. So according to the rules I said, ER verbs don't stem change at all in present progressive. But poder does. It becomes pudiendo. One final thing, when the last letter of an ER or IR verb before the ER or IR ending is a vowel, the normal iendo ending becomes yendo. So leer, so here's what I'm talking about. If you ignore the ER, what is the last letter in the word? It's a vowel. So that tells us that this rule is going to apply, and it becomes leyendo with a Y in present progressive. Oír, ignore the IR ending. The last letter in the word is a vowel. That triggers this rule, and we have oyendo with a Y. Traer, ignore the ER. Last letter is a vowel. That triggers this rule, trayendo. Creer becomes creyendo. And finally, the verb ir, meaning to go, is completely irregular. Present progressive, ir becomes just yendo. Okay, so last thing here is just some example sentences. I'll tell you what they mean for practice. This says, Carmen is eating, and casa means at home. I am reading the newspaper. You all are playing cards. And Jose and Francisco are sleeping. I know that was a lot of information, but you can always watch the video multiple times, and hopefully we can do a bunch of practice on this, and we'll get to the point where we are better.